All right, good afternoon or good morning, depending from where you are joining us today. Thank you so much for registering and taking time for today's Qvinci webinar, which is Qvinci 101. We'll walk through the application and some slides here shortly. On your screen now, you should be seeing where we have some upcoming webinars as well, one next week and one in a couple weeks. And from our website, we have a page specifically designated to webinars where you can see which ones are coming up throughout the year and for which you can register as well. This webinar is being recorded. Just on your screen now, you should see some businesses that do trust Qvinci and utilize Qvinci, some names and brands that you may be aware of, that household names for some of them, but some that you may not be aware of. But again, as you can tell, it covers across really covers multiple industries. Really, it's financial reporting, so it's really not industry specific what we do, whether you're private, franchisor, an SMB, an accountant, bookkeeper, nonprofits as well, as you see the Archdiocese of Baltimore. Again, we help all these folks. Again, ideally, multi-entity or somebody helping multiple industry, single entities from a bookkeeping or accounting standpoint. We can assist you with our solution as well. By the way, with the GoToMeeting site, there is the ability to submit questions as we go through the presentation, or even at the end if you want to hold your questions off to the end via a question panel on the GoToMeeting little panel that has opened up once you join today's meeting. And we'll be more than happy to assist you with any questions. I do have some of my colleagues as well that are helping to man the question area. So we'll do what we can to address your questions throughout today's webinar, or at the end when we get toward the end of the webinar as well. So today, here's today's agenda. And by the way, my name is Marty De Los Santos. I'm an account executive here with Qvinci. So just some things that we're going to cover, about who we are, what is financial reporting, what does it solve for both franchisees and accountants, how does it do it, how does it solve those, what are some key features, what kind of results should you really expect, some next steps, and again, we'll definitely open it up for a Q&A at the end of today's webinar as well. So a little about who we are. So Qvinci, we're headquartered in Austin, Texas, which is where we're located. So not only sales and support, but also development is located here as well. So everything happens in our nice little building here. Founded in 2007, we are a partner with Intuit, and we are the Intuit Franchise Program reporting partner. We do have a patented technology with more patents pending as well with our solution. And now we're going to actually, trigger just a quick question for you to mind, just answering. We'll give you a few moments to do so. All right, thank you so much. So, what is financial reporting software? Basically, in a nutshell, it does plug the gap in your accounting software. So again, it does save money. How does it do that? Well, it's really a lot of time savings with the level of effort that's needed for generating reports. We've talked to a number of folks who, based on what they're getting from their current solution, the time necessary to run, different reports, be it consolidated reports or just, key, custom reports for their clients or for themselves. Again, it automates tasks. How do we collect? One key item is, collecting of the financials from a franchisee or from multiple locations, with our automated sync that we have with the solutions that you see down below, Xero, QuickBooks, both desktop and online. MYOB, we do have automated syncing processes with those. We can also take sync Excel files as well. Reduces risk. Again, we're looking at the full but the accounting file, it's not, nothing's being manually keyed into the Qvinci application. So again, we're taking the numbers directly from the source, so there's no sense of having to worry about transposing numbers as you're plugging them into Qvinci for being able to create the kind of reports that you want. And again, with the level of information that we take, and also what we don't take, which we'll touch on as well, you'll find that we really help to reduce risk there, and obviously put all these together, improve efficiency, save time, which, as you know, does amount to equate to money, whether it's yourself running these reports for clients, or if you're running these reports for your franchise, if you're a franchise owner, or across your entire franchise ecosystem if you're a franchisor as well. So what does it solve for franchises? Poor visibility into financials. Something that we've often hear from speaking with franchisors is that, yeah, we do require our franchisee owners to submit financials on, monthly, quarterly, or whatever their time frame requires based on their FDD. But, some franchisees don't comply at all, or we get them, but they're late, they're never on time, and so there's not an easy way for them to really capture that financial information. Oftentimes it's, hey, they're emailing it, they're faxing it to us, some mail it, some hand deliver it, and that could come in many different sources. And so our solution really helps to solve that by providing a much easier means for franchisees to provide their financial data, where it really takes some effort off of their plate as well, in the sense with their automated syncing process. Really all they have to do is just maintain their books, and the automated syncing process will capture that information without even them having to have a reminder to do so. Slow or non-existent access to data then kind of ties in with what we're just talking about. Is it even coming at all? Again, we do talk to some franchisors that say we do have some locations that just don't comply for whatever reason, and again, the syncing process I think will help in that area. So it takes something off the plate of both the franchisor and the franchisee of, hey, we'd really like to get this from you, and it is a bit of a hassle to have to call or email constantly, or it's a hassle for me to have to compile this information to even send it off to you. Well, no, let's just utilize Qvinci's automated syncing process. It's there. If it's QB Online or even Xero, for example, it does it every night. So no reminders needed for anybody to have to pull this information and submit this information. Difficulty consolidating. Again, something that we have definitely heard, with looking at organizations that have multiple entities, whether they're franchises or nonprofits with multiple entities, or even an SMB that has multiple locations. It does take some work, especially if you're getting spreadsheets of information and you're trying to pull those together, copy and paste spreadsheets together. Let Qvinci do that. We can even consolidate from multiple accounting sources, so your environment does not all have to be on the same system. Some can be using QuickBooks Desktop. Some can be using QuickBooks Online. Some could be using Xero. Some could even be using Excel. Once the information all gets into Qvinci, consolidation takes place in a fraction of a second. Inaccurate data. Because we're taking the information directly from the source, again, you don't have to worry about information coming across that may have been manipulated prior to receiving it, or other things that we have in place. We do have a health check feature that we also tout that does look for inaccuracies in the data files that are being synced. So is the balance sheet not balanced? Did a location owner go back and add some information to a previous month that has now caused his balance sheet to not be balanced for that time frame? So we do have a health check feature that can help to look for things like that as well. And of course, fraud, is really the money coming across that should be coming across? Are they reporting the true level of income and revenues that may go into play for any kind of royalty calculations? And along with that, again, as far as what we don't sync, again, we're not going to, we never will sync, fraud-sensitive information, Social Security numbers, bank accounts, credit card information. That kind of information does not come across with Qvinci's automated sync. How about for accountants? So lack of client engagement. Again, let's create some more dialogue. Let's really help you to become more of a trusted advisor versus just somebody who receives documents from time to time and files, whether you're just filing taxes for them or even offering some kind of advice. So let's kind of increase that client engagement with your client. making it easier for them to provide their financials over for you, and vice versa, as far as providing reporting for them, and or some key KPIs that maybe they're not used to seeing before. Labor-intensive reporting practices. Have heard from different folks about, hey, it does take me time to generate or create the kind of reports that my client is looking for, and it's not always easy, especially if my client has multiple entities that I'm helping them to manage. Let Qvinci help you not only with our consolidation, but also with feature that we'll show here when we get into the demo, our custom reporting feature, which really helps you create some custom report, KPI reports, for example. Really focusing on key account items that may be very important for how your clients running their business. Narrow list of billable services. Having a service like Qvinci, because it does offer a lot of time-saving elements for it, with again, capturing the information, being able to generate your reports. It's now allowing you to maybe increase your level of service for your clients, or maybe increase your availability to find new clients as well. So again, what can we do to help you increase your bottom line with the solution? Out-of-date reporting. Again, we're looking to get the most current information. Again, if your clients are running QuickBooks Online or Xero, it's an automated daily sync. If they're running a QuickBooks Desktop solution, it's an automated sync that occur whenever they open their file to add to it. So you're not having to wait for that information, month, weeks, whatever the time frame could be from your client. So you're helping them by looking at the most up-to-date information that is synced with Qvinci. Lack of flexibility. There again, because of the efficiency that you'll find with Qvinci, it really opens up a lot of other avenues, whether you're creating KPIs, custom reports, or you're utilizing some of the tools that we have available for kind of forecasting forward with the solution for your client, or if it's a client with multiple entities, how you're able to benchmark for them. So again, you're allowing yourself to become more of an advisor for your client with the solution. So how do we solve these problems? So automated collection, consolidation, and reporting of up-to-date financial data. Again, talked about the automated syncing processes that we do have with QuickBooks, both their desktop and online solutions, with Xero, with MIOB. Again, real-time access for stakeholders, because it is 24/7. Again, we are a web-based solution that really anytime, anywhere access 24/7. So key stakeholders can always find a way, can always log into their Qvinci account, pull up some key reports, look at the dashboard if that's what's really going to help them to take a quick look at what's happening with their business. And again, an extensive array of business intelligence tools and features, from again things that we'll dive into here shortly. Our custom report feature and what goes on with it. Also with our consolidation functionality, whether you wanted to look at the environment as a whole, or maybe on a side-by-side basis, benchmarking functionality that's available in the system as well as a few others that we'll dive into here shortly. Now I'm going to start a second question, if you don't mind just taking a few moments to address this question as well. All right. Thank you so much for taking time to address that question as well. So we're going to go into the application here shortly, but again, here's some key features that we'll be sure to discuss. Automated mapping to a standard chart of accounts. So again, we do have a technology that helps to map your chart of accounts to a standardized chart of accounts, and some of you may be already utilizing a standardized chart of accounts across the environment. Please, if you do, let us know. With your Qvinci account, we can import your chart of accounts into your Qvinci account, and that's what you'll utilize moving forward. Ranking reports, We'll touch on those. Custom report builder, I've talked about that a few times already. Something we released here a few months back, and we're adding to it, which is great. Again, development lives here in Austin with us, so they're getting a lot of feedback from not only us here within the company, but from clients as well, as what's really going to help to drive and really make that a lot better. Benchmarking functionality. Benchmarking was a really hot topic that we heard at the IFA International Franchise Association conference a couple months back. A lot of franchisors really mentioned how benchmarking can be very key for them and their franchisees, was really helping to drive adaptive behaviors that could help to lead to better practices across their environment. Of course, email alerts. Most of us these days are carrying around some kind of smart device, and maybe are not always tied to a desktop or a laptop, but you still want to be able to keep up to date with what's happening with your business from a key account standpoint. So we'll be sure to touch on those as well. So I'm actually going to move on over to the application itself. So I'm logged in currently as with somebody who has rights to see every location within this particular demo site that we're looking at. So one thing with Qvinci, we do offer the solution offers unlimited number of users. So we do not charge per user, and there are different user rights that really pertain to what visibility to what locations does a user have. So again, somebody with an admin rights at the admin level, be it at the franchisor or at the headquarters for the SMB. If you're an accountant and you're going to be a reseller of Qvinci at your level as well, you can be sure to see when you log in to see all the locations that may make up the environment for which you're monitoring. User rights as well. Again, if you may have subordinate level rights where you may have representatives or area managers, district managers, folks that this person manages these 15 locations out of our 100 location environment. So when that person logs in, maybe they need to see all 15 locations. That way they can really see what's happening with those locations. And then kind of take it a little step further, a single location owner that doesn't need visibility to anything else but his or her own location. When they log in, they only see their location within the application as well. But when we get into benchmarking, we'll show you how that could be anonymized for them, so they can still get the key information they're looking for, but not actually see the true financials for one of their peers. So whenever anybody logs in, they are logging in, and their landing page is going to be the dashboard. The dashboard is made up of 10 widgets that can be enabled or disabled for each user. So each user can determine which widgets they want enabled or disabled. As you can see, I've got these items enabled currently, and not only can I enable them, but I can also determine where do I want this particular widget to live on my dashboard. So the layout of my dashboard could be different from one of my colleagues who's also logging in to his or her dashboard as well. It can be filtered as well. And currently we're looking at a consolidated view with this information, but if I really wanted to just focus on a single location, again, keep in mind I'm logged in as an admin, I can select my location and change what I'm viewing on my dashboard to just reflect the numbers from that one location. Or I can even select hand select a group that I want to view, or even utilize filterings on the left that can be custom as well to determine, okay, what consolidated information do I want to see on my dashboard. So here I'm looking at the North region, so this is consolidated numbers from the North region that's covering across all the widgets that I have enabled on my dashboard. But really the meat of what we're going to provide for you is going to be within the reporting piece of the application. So here in the body of the page, we see what kind of reporting options are available from your P&L, balance sheet, cash flow reports, benchmarking, ranking, ratios, AR and AP aging. Something that we added here a few months back is also trial balance reporting as well. Over on the right-hand side, we see a list called Memorize Reports. So each user can define his or her own reports that they want to memorize. Whether it's a custom report that was created that they want to memorize, or if it's another report that they've defined, that they've added some filtering, you've added some filtering to. And again, you don't want to have to go through the steps of having to recreate that report each time you want to run it. You just want to be able to have it saved, be able to generate it on a single click, where you can save those reports as a memorized report as well and have that live here on the right-hand side. creating a report, pretty straightforward. First thing we want to do is determine, what is our frequency. So basically defining, what is going to be the column header for my report. Am I going to run a consolidated report by month, by quarter, by year totals? Or do I want a side-by-side where I see all of my locations in a report by location? I can also run a period-over-period report. Do I want to, compare, this year's, February to last year's February in a single report as well? Something I can do currently with Qvinci. Selecting my date range. This drop-down menu very similar for what you may find in QuickBooks as far as what kind of date ranges they offer, or I could select a custom date range, specifying my starting and ending month. Let's say I wanted to run this for the last 3 months, for example. Getting over to reporting options, account mapping. So I talked about having a standardized chart of accounts, which again a lot more folks that we're speaking to these days are moving towards. Although we do have templates that can be utilized if your environment does not already have a standardized chart of accounts. But let's help you to run reports, especially if you're running a consolidated report where you're not having a whole lot of disparateness with regards to the same kind of account. So for example, one location calls it lease, somebody else calls it rent, somebody calls it office rent, somebody calls it office lease, somebody misspells the word lease, L-E-E-S-E versus L-E-A-S-E. Rather than have a consolidated report with each of those items visible, let's move all those into a single account so that you are able to get a much better view from a consolidated standpoint for that specific account. And our technology that we were awarded a patent on last year does help to cover that. So again, it does help to make your P&L, your balance sheet, much more concise when creating those reports in Qvinci. Vertical analysis, do we want to see percent of revenue? Do you want to see graphical information? Do you want to include average of the locations that you selected in your date range, or your company average as well? So different options you can utilize here when creating your report. You can also utilize the filters that we showed here earlier, whether you want to run this report across your entire environment if you've cleared all your filters, or utilizing custom filters that you've defined to help really segment how you want to report. For example, rep name was one of the custom filters that we have created for our demo site. Maybe for you it's how many full-time employees, or how many if it's a automotive franchise, how many bays do we have? Is it a freestanding versus a location that's built into a strip center? There could be other means that you utilize. Does your restaurant have a drive-through or not? There are other means you can create your custom filters for to really help you generate reports that are meaningful for your organization. So we're just going to run it for this North region right now. Build my report. Again, that quickly. This is a consolidated report that was generated in a fraction of a second for the last 3 months for this particular organization. Unmapped. Why do we see unmapped? Again, I ran this with account mapping enabled. What unmapped tells me that one of my locations or a group of my locations have added information to their file, or added new accounts to their file that have not been mapped before in Qvinci. Now, we do have tools available for you that make it very easy to do so. Map to SCOA tools, it really helps easy to quickly and see what information is not mapped. So if I go there, we do break it out into the different account types that could be visible, and these are the items that are currently unmapped. I can map a single item at a time, or map a group of these items to say, these 3 should really fall under engine work as an example, and then hit the green map selection button, and this time moving forward, these 3 items will no longer appear as unmapped on any reports that you generate with account mapping enabled. They are now mapped. And you can go down the line across the different count types to do the same thing anywhere that unmapped items may have appeared. Again, if you've already mapped everything, if you see it again on a future report, it's because something new has been added to a file that's been synced with your Qvinci account. So with the, just going to run this report again for the last 3 months. Run it real quick. Talked about the custom report builder with Qvinci, which really has helped to provide a lot more flexibility with what folks are able to do for their environment. Again, we do already have the canned reports that are available. We've often heard I want to, Qvinci has some ratio reports, but I'd really like to be able to create my own KPIs that are specific for my environment that'll help me to know how are my businesses truly running. And so the custom report builder has really offered that kind of flexibility as well. So every report, although we can get them all out to PDF and Excel, what the custom report builder does, I'm just going to go through the step real quick, give it a name. It opens up this report, whether it be a P&L report or a balance sheet report, gives you the option to customize what you're doing. So it's a spreadsheet where I can eliminate rows or columns. I can add rows or columns. I can add formulas to cells. I can copy and paste. I can copy from another spreadsheet and paste that information here as well. But it really makes it easy to help say, this is what I really want to do for my particular company. Let's say I wanted to eliminate some rows off this report. The button with the horizontal lines is what I can do for rows, with the verticals for columns. I can either hand select which ones I want to eliminate, or I can select all and then only keep the ones that are important for me for this particular report. Once I've made those selections, just hit the X, and now it's going to eliminate everything that's really not needed for this report. I can insert a column, call it my test column, or whatever you want to call it, and I can now add functionality here. I can even input static information. Maybe this column is number of full-time employees, and now maybe I want to create a formula that's utilizing the data that comes from within the application times this to give me another answer. Maybe I add a second column, or maybe I already know what that number may be. Maybe it's what is my KPI based on the number of bays I've got at this particular automotive location, or some other key item that it could be utilized from a formula building standpoint. And it's pretty straightforward. Let's say I do wanted to, maybe get a sum. I can pick my starting and ending, similar to what you would find in Excel. Pick your starting and ending fields. Maybe you also want to, that you've got 5 bays within your environment. Apply. You can get a lot more creative than that with the formulas you want to create. But maybe this is something you want to utilize across this entire spreadsheet here. So now we need to copy and paste this. Pretty simple, easy. I'm just going to hit select, then pick the field I want to copy, hit copy, highlight where I want to go, hit paste, and now I've copied that formula across this entire spreadsheet here. And I can get much more creative if need be. But once I'm done, hit done. This now becomes a memorized report. Again, I called this Marty, so I created it with a rolling time frame. The last 3 months or every month, I can always just come and click Marty, and here's my rolling time frame. Whatever I called my column, here's where that formula is tying in based on the data we're seeing over the last 3 months. And again, I can, again, this is just a quick example of one kind of custom report that you can create. Again, you can get very creative with looking at, hey, this is what's really important for me. These are the accounts that are important for me. This is the kind of formulas that I usually tie in to really, get some good key information that helps me to see my business and really know, am I progressing or not with regards to how productive I'm being with my business. Benchmarking. Again, to mention benchmarking was a really hot item at the IFA as far as the folks who walked up to us. So the key thing with benchmarking is it really gives you, and also really primarily it gives your franchisees a means to see, how am I doing? How am I performing versus my peers that are doing the same thing, that are selling the same thing that I am? So let's say we did want to compare to the top 10%. I'm going to unfilter all this, and I'm just going to run this as if I were a single owner, the Austin location. How am I doing versus the top 10% of my peers? And maybe I do want to see vertical analysis, so I can see percent of revenue along with that and see my numbers as well. So again, a single location owner, when they run this, they would see their numbers, and they would see, now here's the top 10%. They're going to see the average of the top 10%. So there's no way for the Austin, Texas owner to know exactly, what are the numbers or which locations make up the top 10% and what are their exact numbers, because this is taking an average of those locations. So they can go across the board from a P&L or balance sheet standpoint and really see, how do they compare, and this could help to utilize behavior like, okay, looking at expenses, are they spending more in advertising than I'm spending in advertising, or am I spending more and it's really not translating to the kind of production that they're seeing? Are they focusing their sales on certain areas that I'm not focusing my sales on? Maybe that could be a key indicator as to, maybe, change some behaviors. Maybe I do need to focus my efforts and my advertising on really trying to push this one product that I see that they're really excelling at. There could be numerous things that, a business owner can look in here to really see, what am I doing? What are they doing? Where can I make improvements, and how can I make improvements? What's nice about this as well from a benchmarking, because this is based off the P&L, I can also customize this. So, and rather than having to see the whole P&L from a benchmarking standpoint, as a business owner, also location owner, I could then, as you saw what I did on the previous custom report, eliminate certain account items off this report that really aren't key for me. Maybe there are a few key items that I really want to track myself against the top 10%, and only save those and have this be a report that I save and memorize. That's now a single-click report that's only going to provide for me my benchmarking of myself versus the top 10% based on certain key accounts that I really want to track and monitor. Ranking reports. I'm going to unfilter this, make sure I see everybody. So again, somebody from an admin perspective, I'm just going to run this real quick for this year to date. So if you have access to all locations and visibility to all locations, you can run this report. These are different column headers available: gross profit, expense, gross margin, expense margin, and so forth, net margin, net income margin. And you can sort on any one of these columns, greatest to highest to lowest, lowest to highest, for that specific item, and see, how do your different locations fit within that area. You could also filter this if you wanted to run it for specific regions or other, specific custom filters that you may have defined for your business. Even your locations, if you're a franchisor, even your single locations, let's say your Austin location ran this for his or herself, this is all they would see. So they would know how many locations made up the environment, but they would also see how they rank in each one of these areas. This one report alone, we actually had a client walk up to us at the IFA that mentioned this single report triggered a conversation from a franchisee owner to them, because the owner realized that in one of the categories they ranked dead last, and so it was enough to say, hey, I see that I'm ranked at the very bottom on this one item. Why is that, and what can I do to improve that? So again, the tool does allow for increased communication and really enhances the collaboration that you will have if you're a franchisor with your clients as well. And if necessary, if you notice, we have P&L Weekly available here as well, trial balance information here as well. But again, which is a fairly new report that we added. Other reporting functionality that's available to you out of the system. Other key features that we had mentioned, kind of dovetailing off of the benchmarking, is this feature. In fact, we did a webinar on this one last week. I'm not sure if any of you guys were able to sit on that. Our Pro Forma tool. But it basically it dovetails off of the peer benchmarking. Not only am I benchmarking myself against my top 10%, but I want to track and see how I'm performing against that as well. And that's what the Pro Forma does. So for the Austin location, I can see how am I performing in each of these areas versus the top 10%. Of course, the line signifies where we are today. Green means we're on pace to be ahead of the top 10%. Red means we have some work to do. So it's color-coded to make it easy to read as well. We can definitely provide you with more information of exactly how to utilize this, how a location can utilize this to really help monitor. Hey, not only what am I doing now? I'm implementing some behaviors and some changes. Now I want to see how those changes are being affecting my business. Am I tracking to do better than I have been doing? I mentioned alerts also, as far as a key feature that's available. So what are alerts? So I can set up alerts based on a P&L or the balance sheet accounts. Again, if I'm a single location owner, I don't see all locations. I would only see myself. Again, keep in mind I'm logged in as an admin. I do have visibility to everybody. But for the Austin location, I do want to go through and I can go in, whether it be a daily or weekly email alert that I want to receive. If it's an income-related item, I could even specify a certain target that I'm trying to reach as well, or I can just say, you know what, just send me the actual numbers. I just want to, get a daily update on what's happening in this area, or maybe I want to get a weekly update of what's happening either month to date or year to date, for this specific account. And I can go down the line and select as many different accounts that I want, whether I'm setting up a daily or weekly reminder. Obviously, daily is daily. Weekly is every Monday. This person will get an email alert, for the accounts that they've designated as a weekly frequency, and it's one email that encompasses all of the accounts that you've selected for that alert. Again, target, if it's an income item, I want to see the actual numbers, but I also want to see how am I progressing toward the target that I've set. If you have an expense item that you're trying to maybe get a little more lean with, set up a threshold and define what that threshold may be, so you can see what your actual is, toward that threshold. Are you still within that boundary, or have you, surpassed that threshold already for the month, based on those expense items that you're tracking? So again, it's designed for someone who they still want to stay on top of what's happening with key accounts within their business. Maybe they don't always have the ability to go to log into Qvinci. But again, we're all carrying around our smartphones, our smart devices. Oftentimes we do have our emails, tied to those as well. Still allow me to see that information even when I'm not sitting right at my desk from a daily or weekly standpoint. Mentioned the health check. We talked about fraud or even inaccurate data on one of our previous slides. Often, more often than not, these numbers will be zero. Whenever your clients or your franchisees are syncing their files, but when they're not, Qvinci has a tool to help you see what's coming across that may not be balanced. So, for example, like the balance sheet, our total assets are equaling total liabilities and equity on the balance sheets that are being synced with your Qvinci account. If it's not, you'll get a number here. You can click here to see what's happening. You'll see what month, what location is being affected, the month and year that's being affected, and the actual, the values themselves, where the assets do not equal total liability and equity. And so it helps you create a conversation there again, like, hey Bill, hey Sally, you sync your file and notice that for February your balance sheet is not accurate. Oh, you're right. I did go back and add some information to that month, earlier this week. So yeah, let's fix that. So again, we have some tools in place that'll help you to track what's really happening with the files that are coming in to your Qvinci account. All right, so we covered some key areas. We covered some of the key features. We talked about custom report building, talked about benchmarking. We did mention the ranking area. Talked about your standardized chart of accounts to really help it to streamline and really give you a much more concise, visible P&L or balance sheet when it comes to doing consolidated. We also talked about the alerts feature and functionality within the application. And I do understand this is not a full in-depth demonstration that may be very specific for your environment. But we'll provide some contact information toward the end of today's webinar, where you can get in contact with us to get a much more in-depth view of the application itself. Going to move back over to the slide presentation now. So again, what can you expect? Again, as mentioned, 24/7 access to your financials. We're a SaaS solution, web-based solution, anytime, anywhere access. Be it from a desktop, laptop, Mac, smart device, iPhone, iPad, deeper insights into your business performance. Let's help you to, really, create reports that are truly meaningful. Whether it be KPI reports or other reports that maybe you have. It's difficult to create today, but I imagine with Qvinci, especially with our consolidation technology and customer reporting technology, we can really help to drive that information and benchmarking technology to help to really provide that information that's very key for you, maybe very key for your location owners. Problems highlighted before they become real trouble. And that's definitely where like the health check feature can come into play. It's also maybe you want to create reports that show. In fact, I did a call with a gentleman in the past week. He wanted to see the last 2 months and look at comparisons, maybe create a formula. Has there, what is the percentage changes over the last 2 months across their P&L? There are areas where with a very significant change from one month to the other, why is that? So he can create a report that's just, a rolling report for the last 2 months, add a column that shows, with the formula that calculate the percentage difference between the 2 months, and it's going to help him to see what's different month over month for his environment. Again, improved financial, target tracking. Again, as you saw with the alerts, I want to specify some targets. I want to keep track of how I'm progressing towards those targets. Are we hitting them? Are we not hitting them? Be it month to date, year to date. Maybe I also want to create some custom reports that help me to track that as well. Again, actionable data. The key thing here is really providing you with actionable data. We're not just saying, hey, here's a report, have fun. Well, let's really get very specific on what we want the report to send to us, and not only from a numeric standpoint is, what do the numbers truly mean, and really help you to define that with our solution. Want to include this as well, security. We do get asked this from time to time is, well, how secure is the solution? Because we understand you guys are a web-based solution. Well, our solution is hosted at Amazon Web Services, and for those that may not know, that's also where QuickBooks Online is also hosted as well. And AWS, it does carry all of your SOC 1, 2, and 3 and other compliances, HIPAA, FIPS, and DoD. Only senior level employees can access the data, and by design, we do not sync, again, mentioned before, any kind of personal info, social security numbers, bank account numbers, credit card numbers, and audits are performed and reviewed by management as well. So, understanding, yes, we're web-based, but we are hosting with probably one of the most secure services out there in AWS, just to really, help drive home that your data is going to be very secure. And again, we're not bringing across any kind of fraud-sensitive information. So now what? So as mentioned, I'm one of the account executives here at Qvinci. Here are some of my colleagues as well, Roman, Caitlin, Rich, and of course myself. You see our email contact information, and as well as even the different verticals that we may focus on, as well. So if you fall into one of these areas, so for example, if you are in the food and restaurant and you have some more questions about it, by all means get in contact with Roman. He's more than happy to assist you with any questions about that. Or if you're in property management, get in contact with Caitlin. Cleaning and restoration services, Rich Madison. Of course, you can see the areas that I cover as well, automotive, business services, moving and storage. And any one of us are more than happy to, again, as mentioned, do a little bit deeper dive with you into the application as it relates specifically for your environment. So we do want to go ahead and open up to questions that anybody may have within the application. Some may have already been answered throughout today's presentation, but if you have any other questions, by all means, feel free to utilize the question area within the GoToMeeting panel. Did see that there were a lot of folks on the call that did show a big interest in custom reporting. Just to let you know, we do have actually a recorded webinar that did go into detail on creating custom reports, what's available with custom reports. You're more than happy to view that. I believe that is available right on our website, or you can get in contact with one of us, and we can more than happy to send you a link to that recording. Or if you prefer, if you want to see what custom reporting can really mean for your own specific business, please, get in contact with one of us, and we're much more happy to spend time with you talking specifically about, what kind of reports may be important for your environment or your organization, and maybe walk through, how those can be created with Qvinci as well. So a question came across as far as, a client with only 2 files but has multiple classes. I talked about automated syncing earlier, and with QuickBooks, both desktop and online, we can sync either the entire file or we can even sync at the class location within those files. In fact, we do have a client currently that has a single file but runs about 60 classes, and for him, he actually will have 60 locations in Qvinci where each class represents a location, because that's what he wanted. That's how he wants to break out his business, to be able to run reports at the class level, which is a specific location in Qvinci. So we can sync your file, be at the full file level, or even at the class level if you're running QuickBooks Desktop or online. And again, we can get into much deeper as to how that would work. Any one of us, more than happy to chat with you how that would work as it relates to your specific files that you may be interested in syncing with Qvinci. Again, just to restate, a question came across. Again, we do not charge by user. As mentioned early on, you have unlimited users when it comes to your Qvinci account. The key thing there is, based on user permissions, will determine what visibility will they have within the application. So again, you have a franchisee or a client, and they only have one location. When they log in, first of all, they only see their location, not only the numbers for location, but even the title of their location. They do not see any other locations at all named within what they can view within their Qvinci account. And when they go to generate reports, it is only for the locations that they have visibility for. Now, if they are running benchmarking, as showed during today's call, even though they may want to be benchmarking against their entire environment, it is looking at an average, be it the top 10%, top 20%, or the overall average. There is no way for them to know which locations make up that top 10 or top 20. It is just an average, so no way for them to so to say backdoor their way into knowing the actual financials for one of their peers. So Qvinci is again, it's a web-based software as a service solution. It's online, so there's no actual software to be installed on your server. Their only installation that could ever occur if you are running a QuickBooks desktop solution. There is a Qvinci Sync app that is needed to enable just the syncing of the application, but the application itself does not have to be installed anywhere. So you can directly access it through our website. You can even go on your own and start creation of your account if need be. But we also have support folks that are available to assist you with any kind of account creation that may take place. So the applications for which we have automated syncs are QuickBooks, both desktop and online. So QuickBooks Desktop, Pro, Premier, Enterprise, or QuickBooks Online. We have an automated sync with Xero. We also have an automated sync with MYOB. If you or any of your clients are running another accounting application, we also, we can receive a sync from an Excel file as well. So, it's not automated. It is a manual trigger of a sync, but we can still take that sync now. And if your environment encompasses different accounting types, some are using Excel because of maybe they're only using Excel, or because they're using another solution for which they have to get their data into Excel. Some are using QuickBooks Desktop Pro, some QuickBooks Desktop Enterprise, some QuickBooks Online, some Xero. we can still take files from all those disparate sources and still give you consolidated information from those differing sources with Qvinci. So your entire environment does not have to be on the same accounting, utilize the same accounting application. Well, everybody, I know a few of you maybe still be chatting questions, and we're going to keep the question area open here for a little bit. Thank you so much. Do appreciate, again, you not only taking the time to register, but also taking the time for us today. Again, this webinar is being recorded and will soon be added to the website as well. I believe you'll get a follow-up email from us that will have a link to the recording. But again, if any of you has any further questions for us, by all means, feel free to get in contact with us. Happy to do a deeper dive with you, really maybe address key questions that are very important, specific for your own business, and walk with you through the application from that standpoint as well. Again, thank you so much, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of the day. As mentioned, we'll keep the question area open here for a little while longer as well.